everyone, I'm Heather Poduska, Star Maker for entrepreneurs who want to unlock their potential, command any stage, and make blockbuster profits. Welcome to Thrive, the show where I bring you tips, resources, and people to help you create a brand that makes you happy and profitable. Here we go.
Hi everyone, I'm Heather Poduska, founder of the Brand Star Academy, where I teach entrepreneurs how to create their own celebrity personal brand so they can attract their ideal clients and stand out as industry leaders. Welcome to this episode of Thrive, how to achieve more by doing less, with my special guest, Lisa Danforth. Lisa Danforth is a business strategist and a serial entrepreneur who has been in business successfully for over 20 years. She has had several of her own businesses with teams and sold her businesses at a profit. One business even was 35 times the original investment in terms of the ROI when she sold it. Lisa specializes in helping established entrepreneurs scale their businesses and get out of overwhelm. So this interview was so great for learning the tips and tricks for entrepreneurs who've been in business a while. They have successful businesses, but they've hit that wall. I don't know about you, but that happens to me. Sometimes you get to the new level, new devil, right? You can't figure out that next step, or maybe you feel it's not what it used to be. You've lost that loving feeling, or maybe it's overwhelm and you're like, I don't know where to focus my time. This is Lisa's specialty, and she gave some great insights and tips today. We talked about why it's so important to have a vision for where you're going. She talked about something called the Law of Linkage, the Law of Linkage of linking your current activities to that vision so that you can stay on track and avoid the noise. We talked about busy work, why it's so important not to think that busy work is really going to push the needle forward on your success. Lisa also talked about the importance of dealing with shame. And we all experience shame, and it is a nail in the coffin of our success when we keep ourselves silent. We talked about why silence is so harmful for your business and why you need a trusted advisor, why you need someone who will tell you the truth and keep you accountable to your vision, not just your girlfriends, not just your family, but someone who's been there, done that, to really hold your feet to the fire. And we talked about the difference between being open and vulnerable and feeling like you're oversharing. And when is it okay to share personal things, and when is it maybe better to keep some things cooking behind the scenes to keep your brand intact as you go and navigate through the weeds in your business, which we all do. Lisa has worked with many brick and mortar, many solopreneurs, and we talked about the importance of team, of managing your team, and how managing your team can not only create more financial abundance, but also an abundant uplifting work atmosphere that drives the whole mission forward. Lisa was a wealth of information. She's been there, she's been successful, and she had such a great spirit and energy about her. I know that you're going to love this episode of Thrive. Also, if you are someone who wants to up-level your brand, if you want to be in the spotlight, if you've maybe been struggling on how to bring all the pieces of who you are together in a really powerful platform so that you can get booked to speak, so that you can get in the media, so that you really can stand out in your industry, carve a unique niche, and attract ideal high-paying clients, then I would love to talk to you about a strategy session with me so we can explore your brand and how to make you a superstar in your industry. You can email me directly at heather@clearvoicebranding.com or check out my consulting tab on my website at heatherpoduska.com. Okay, I hope you enjoy this episode of Thrive. Hi everyone, I'm Heather Poduska, founder of the Brand Star Academy, where I teach entrepreneurs how to be powerful, profitable speakers and create their own celebrity personal brands. Welcome to Thrive, the show where I bring you tips, resources, and people to help you create a more abundant life and business. You're in for high value content coming to you from industry leaders who are growing their business, making an impact, and rocking their brands. And I am so excited to have my special guest here today, Lisa Danforth. Lisa is a firm believer that business doesn't have to be so hard. She's a seasoned business strategist who helps established business owners scale with more control and less overwhelm so they can gain their life back. Over the course of the past 27 years, Lisa has opened and operated several successful companies, including an international wholesale children's wear company, which she sold for over 35 times her initial opening investment. Now she uses her vast business expertise to teach small business owners and entrepreneurs how to take their success to the next level without overwhelm. Welcome, Lisa. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And you and I connected recently at the Massachusetts Women's Conference.
That was phenomenal. What an amazing event that was.
Yeah.
It's nice to see you there.
Yeah. And what I love is that we get to meet all of these amazing women entrepreneurs. Well, that conference has a lot of corporate people as well.
It does, but definitely had a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in the world of the events, what am I thinking? Where they were selling items?
Oh yeah, the Expo Center.
The Expo Center had a lot of entrepreneurs there. It was wonderful to meet, exciting to be around that energy, for sure.
But what you do is not corporate, but you work with a lot of people who have established businesses. Right. So it's not necessarily just the solopreneur. No. It's people who are really already successful in some ways, and then you help them to the next level. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. It's definitely not just the solopreneur, although I do work with solopreneurs, because often they're at that level where they want to grow and they want to scale, but they don't necessarily want to bring on a team. So I might help them do bring on a VA, a virtual assistant or something like that. But really, it's the entrepreneurs that are established. They have a few employees, might be 5, might be 15, but they're looking to take it to the next level, but they're kind of playing whack-a-mole. You know, they've gotten it to a certain level, but they're not quite sure what they need to do, and they're so busy that they're not able to sort of slow down. I've heard many times they don't have the luxury to slow down and look at if what they're working on is actually getting them closer to where they want to be, but they just continue churning out the work. So we slow down and kind of look at the vision of where they want to go to, and how a team implements can come in there, what type of systems are actually going to support them to start taking their day back, so they're not working 7 days a week. And when they do that, they're actually able to achieve more without doing more, and that's the component where I really help them with, so they can gain their life back.
That's amazing, because I think whether you're a small business owner, a solopreneur, I think that is really hard to know sometimes. There are so many things you could be doing and that you should be doing, but you don't always necessarily know the order to do them or which things actually don't even need to be done.
Right. A lot of businesses, I find, unfortunately, they get to that point where they're so busy that they're busy, but that doesn't mean that they're being productive. That doesn't mean that they're actually moving the business forward. And that's one of the things that we really slow down and look at to see if the work that they're investing so much of their time, their energy, their finances on are actually moving the dial on their business or just keeping them busy. Because we can be completely immersed in our day, going home and thinking, wow, that was just I did a lot of work, but it didn't move them closer to their goal. It didn't move the dial on their business.
And by the dial, you mean the profits, right?
I mean the profits, absolutely, but also we go into business to have more fulfillment, to have more freedom, time flexibility, financial independence, and whatnot. So the success is according to what you want. Some people may want to be able to contribute to their community. They may want to just be banking the money and putting it into their account, which is wonderful, and I can help them with that. But there's usually other components that come into it, and when we have all of those pieces in alignment, that they've got the team they're cohesive, they're collaborative, they've really created an amazing team culture, so they're supporting each other, and they have a good time showing up. They're helping the bottom line of the business. The business owner is supporting the team by inviting them into the conversation, by creating an environment that they're happy to show up. So it's this beautiful synergy where the sum of the parts are greater than the whole, and that does, when all of these different components are in line, that's when the abundance really kicks in.
So it sounds a little bit, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds a little bit like brand work. A little bit, because it's about that alignment, to get everybody in alignment with the mission and the vision of the business. Can you say a little bit about that?
Sure, and I agree with you, absolutely. It's brand in that, who do we want to be, what is the image that we want to put out there, and what is the environment that we want to create, so that we can align all of our choices to move towards that. I like to use the law of linkage. Make all of the choices that you're making today to the vision and the goal of what you want in the future. And when we can do that, when we can say, is what I'm choosing to do, is the action that I'm choosing to invest my time and money into moving me closer. And those do need to be in alignment with our brand. They need to be in alignment with our mission. And when they're not, it's very hard. That's when I find the businesses will definitely tend to struggle, is that they're not making choices. They're doing what they feel they should be doing, not necessarily what they want to or really need to be doing to move their business.
Those are boss moves, right?
Yes.
But I'm serious. It takes fortitude, emotional fortitude, to step in and say, this is what I want, this is the vision, we're doing this.
Right. At the vision, and that's what's so important about sharing it, being able to own our vision and our mission, and the clarity. I know we were talking about that earlier, about how we really need to know what we want our vision and our brand to be. So that when we have that vision, we can make choices. And now those may be difficult choices, such as, I would love to do this over here in my business, but it's actually not in alignment with where it is that I'm heading. So I need to say no to that. So when we're connected to that, it allows us to make the choices. It allows us to invite people on board and really share our vision and our mission with our team, so that they can be the entrepreneurs of their career. And everyone is just so much more productive and joy-filled, and it's a much nicer environment to work with. And having that brand, like you said, having that mission, vision, and knowing what it is, how they need to be showing up, is really important.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about, as a small business owner with a team, that external, right, the internal alignment of the team, it results in the external success and how you're projecting yourself. But that applies for a solopreneur too, because you have your own team in here.
Right, exactly. Sometimes they're not always playing nicely together.
Exactly.
But you definitely have the team.
That's awesome. So do you find that there's a place that people tend most often to get off track?
Excellent question. I haven't found one specific, other than really the mindset piece. That's where people definitely tend to get tripped up. And when they're going for that next level, when they're shooting for that space that they've never quite stepped into before, this larger space, that's when they really start to question themselves. And then they start kind of being busy over here, because they don't particularly want to look at what's making them uncomfortable over here, to step into this bigger space and own their brilliance and own their greatness.
So, excuse me, what is the thing that is over here that's scary? Do you have a general sense? Do most people have a set of things that stop them from going into that bigger vision, do you think?
You know, it's interesting. What I have really found is the lack of vision of exactly where they want to go and to grow to creates this sort of fuzziness, so they're not quite sure what they need to be doing. So then that's often when we kind of procrastinate and we're busy over here, because we're not quite sure what we need to be doing to take it to the next level, because we're not exactly sure of what that next level really is and really looks like. And that's why I say we need to slow down. And you know, I understand that people think it's a luxury to slow down, but that's kind of like flying down the highway and saying you don't have time to stop for gas. Eventually, you're going to need to get gas, right?
Right.
So we need to stop and look at, where do you want your business to go and to grow to? Because when you've got that, that's when you've got your roadmap. That's when you can sort of compare your choices. And when you're starting to step into this bigger, more expansive space, and you're kind of getting fearful, you can connect to that vision and really be able to do those things that are uncomfortable. Be the person that you haven't been before, because you know where you're headed.
I love that. And I just did a Facebook Live yesterday. It was after you and I had gone to that event. And I was talking about how I didn't want to go to that event yesterday because I had only gotten 3 or 4 hours of sleep. I woke up in the middle and I couldn't go back to sleep. And I didn't want to get out of my jammies. And it was a moment by moment self-talk process, because I knew why I wanted to be there.
Exactly.
Because I had a mission. I had an internal 24-hour mission that I had set for myself, and how I wanted to show up. And if I hadn't had that, I don't know if I would have been. I might have been like, no one's going to know.
Right. It'll be very easy to stay in your jammies.
Yeah.
We all do that. We all do that, and we need to honor it. And there are days that I'm staying in my jammies. This is really what I need, is to nourish my soul today. But you knew what you wanted to get out of that meeting, and you knew that it was important for you, because we're always watching ourselves. We're always judging ourselves. And if we have these expectations for who we want to be and how we want to show up in the business that we want to grow, but we're not doing those things, it's amazing the self-judgment that can come in, and then it's easier to live up to our expectations of ourselves. Oh, I won't do it. So good for you. Kudos to you for actually having that vision and saying, no, this is important to me. I'm going to put on my heels and
also
lipstick.
I had, of course, you have to wear the lipstick, of course. But I had just been talking to one of my accountability partners, and she was saying it's a moment by moment thing. You can't bookend your day, which I was sort of doing lots of mindset work at the beginning of the day and lots of mindset work at the end of the day. And she's like, Heather, what about the 23 hours in between there? You've got to it has to be moment by moment whenever those things challenge your brain to reverse that. So that's
to stop in the moment and think.
Right.
So often we just plow on through, and we're not making choices that are the best for us, the best for our family, just to move us forward and feeling better. Because when we feel better, we do better, physically, emotionally, and financially. So if you knew why you wanted to go and that made you feel better, it's exponential.
Yeah. So can we go deeper for just a second?
Sure. I'll go deep.
Yeah, let's go deep, baby. I want to backwards engineer just a little bit. So we were talking about people don't have the vision, so they don't take the steps. But do you find that people have a hard time creating that vision for? Oh gosh. And why?
It's so
why
hard.
do people have a hard time? Because you would think it's like, here's your candy shop. Walk over and pick whatever you want, and it's like,
here's the big bag.
I don't know. So why is it so hard for people to identify what they want?
That is a beautiful insight and question, really. And I find when I start off with my clients, we actually do about a 3.5-hour deep dive of looking at the business and the lifestyle that they want to create. Because as business owners, they're not mutually exclusive, right? We need to know the lifestyle that we want in order to create the business that's actually going to sustain that. So in digging deep with every client that I've brought on board, they've had difficulty in really connecting to, especially both. Okay, what's the business look like? What does the lifestyle look like? But we have gone through, again, I work with established business owners. So we've sort of put ourselves on the back burner. We've put our needs on the back burner for our family, for our community, for whatnot. And we lose connection to what fills us up, what brings us joy and fulfillment. We know we're going into business, like I said in the beginning, for more fulfillment, more joy, more of all of those things that we want, but we've lost connection to it. So when we sit down and think about it, people can come up with sort of I don't want to say superficial necessarily, but the surface sort of goals that they want to. But it takes a while for them to really sink into. And I love it when this happens, because you can see their whole body shifts when they're like, this is what I want to do, like this.
Oh, I just got shivers all over my arms.
This is what lights me up.
Yeah.
But we have to, it's like peeling back the onions of peelings of an onion, you know? It takes a while because we have, over the years, sort of suppressed what it is that we want because it's not as important as taking care of the kids. Our parents need us, whatever it might be. It's also really scary because when you decide what you want and you decide to go for what you want, oh my gosh, what happens if I don't achieve it? So then we get to actually bury it down here. Or I did a live a while ago, you put one foot on shore and one foot on the boat. So you're never quite 100% in, right? So you need to know what that vision is so that you can burn the boat and go for it, because you will never find the success that you're looking for up here if you continually have a belief back here that it won't succeed. You won't put in the effort and the energy to really make those successes happen.
And I think you have to, and this is something that I'm learning as well as I am on this journey, you have to be willing to fail miserably. You have to know that going in, because if you don't, I don't think you will do that. You won't burn the boats. I don't think, personally, for myself, when I have that fear of failure, I hold back.
Oh yeah, it's
So
natural.
you have to have that acceptance. Like, I think Mel Robbins talks about, you find out that you suck.
Right.
And she says,
It hurts.
well, no, but she's like, okay,
Right.
so you do. So you're not good at that thing. And then you go on to the next thing. It's like that failing fast.
Failing forward, I love to say.
Yeah.
So, okay, that didn't work. I mean, I think it was Thomas Edison who said, great, he found 10,000 ways that it didn't work to create the light bulb, right?
Right.
And if you think about it, it is very egoic of us to think that we're going to step out there, we've got this success that we're going for, and we are never going to fail. Like, when we can stop and think about it from that way, like, those who succeed, who have succeeded the most, have statistically failed the most, right? So if you look at anyone around you, because it's great to look at, okay, so here's where I am, here's where I want to be. Who are some other people out here that are actually have achieved the success that I'm looking for? Do you think that they've actually made that jaunt to the success without falling down, without tripping up, without making an idiot of themselves at some point? We need to be able to fail forward. We need to be able to look at failure and go, okay, well, that didn't work. All right, not going to do that again. Or I'm going to come at it from a different angle because I can see what it was that didn't work this time.
Yeah, I love that. It just made me think about singing and how you have to be willing to sound like a billy goat. Because if you don't, your voice is never going to be out.
Beautiful description.
Because you have to be willing to let it crack, because otherwise no one's going to hear it, because you're going to be holding it in like this all the time. And then you know what you're dealing with once you start.
Excellent.
So, but I want to ask you another question, because you have been in business for 27 years.
I know.
That's awesome.
Started when I was 3.
That's awesome, though. So, and you've been successful at business.
I have, which has been very, I mean, not to say I haven't had my failures. I have certainly screwed up. I've certainly had failures, but I've learned from each one of them, and I haven't let them get in my way.
So what do you think it was that enabled you to be so successful where other people maybe didn't have that kind of success?
I grew up with a family who just, if I wanted to do something, they'd be like, great, awesome, all right, go for it. Instead of, all right, so what's the attrition rate? How many people fail? How many do this? They allowed me to look at something and be able to investigate it. I also am a firm believer that if something intrigues you, open up that door and go down that hallway. That doesn't mean that you have to stay there for years and years and years. You can go, oh, I'm going to go down this doorway now because I'm not really enjoying this. So to be open to the creativity that comes our way instead of closing off, this I thought was going to be really cool, but it's not really what I thought it was going to be. But because I've already started the business, I need to stick with it. So for me, knowing that I'm always at choice, knowing that I have the option to continue plowing through because there's a space that I want to get to on the other side, or understanding that this isn't what fulfilled me. Like when I was a caterer for 14 years. I was at the height of my career. I had 35, 38 people that were working for me, wildly successful. And I turned 50 and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. The hardest part about that was everyone around me going, you can't quit catering. What are you thinking? It wasn't, so I had it up here, but I was able to say, no, actually I'm done. And it's that confidence of knowing it was no longer fulfilling me. So I wanted to move into a different direction. And being able to fail, that's a really big one, is knowing that I'm going to fail.
So I asked this on my Facebook page a couple days ago. What is the biggest lesson or the most important lesson you've learned from failing?
That is beautiful. It's a scary one. It is, we need to be transparent. When we need help, we can't do it alone. There's no successful entrepreneur that's out there, no successful business person, career person that's done it alone. So often we think that we need to have this facade of, it's okay, everything's wonderful, I got this. Meanwhile, you're sinking down this hole, and you have this whole barrage of people who would be willing to help you out, support you, even if it's just listening to you. but you need to have a tribe that you can rely on and be able to say, I'm having a really hard time, I'm struggling. Because you can't wait until you've gotten so far down that it's nearly impossible to get out of that rabbit hole. So it's really be vulnerable to the people that you allow within your inner circle, not to everyone. There's a line that you don't want to, people need to earn your trust to a certain extent if you're going to be exposing it. So make sure that the people are there for you and that they're able to handle it.
Yeah, and I also think that there is something to putting forward your professional face while you're working things out with your confidants and your mentors and your team. And sometimes I see, on social media, sometimes people work things out very publicly.
Yes.
And I don't know if that serves them. I'm 100% for being authentic, but I'm not 100% necessarily for over divulging things that maybe are private.
I agree with you 100%.
Private and authentic don't have to be the same.
Right.
Like that's not exactly the same thing.
I agree.
Yeah. So I love that though, because one of the things that you're sort of talking about is shame.
Absolutely. That Brene Brown has it going on with the whole shame thing, and it's so important for everyone to really look at that, because that component, shame loves silence. Anyone who hasn't read Brene Brown, totally recommend it, because it allows us to just be who we want to be and fail and be okay with it, because everyone fails.
Right.
But shame loves silence, and that's what I'm saying, is that when we put this facade out there as business owners, as career people, and we're really struggling, but we're not seeking the help that we desperately need. We're trying to do it on our own, because shame keeps us from actually speaking up and saying, I'm screwing up over here. I need another set of ears and eyes to help me look at this so that I can come at it from a different perspective. But I'm putting so much energy in here into this facade of everything's fine, I got it, it's cool, that can take us down. It grabs us by the ankles and just drives us down.
But that's why it's so important to have someone who's been there, done that, succeeded, failed, pulled themselves back up, and knows what they're doing, like you, because I think it's really important to have that expert perspective. And not just getting, sometimes I think, you get BFF information. Right?
It's what I say to my clients, like, you're not paying me to sit down and have a glass of wine for you. That's why my tagline is, I hold your hand while I kick your butt.
Yeah.
So that there's the empathy and the compassion.
Right.
But there's the line of, okay, so you've got this problem, we're going to sit and I'm going to hand you the tissues, and you got about 10 minutes. We're going to get up, because we need to sit with it. That is, again, the shame component that comes in. It doesn't allow us to sit with our pain and experience it. We keep it at bay like this, and then it just gets bigger and heavier.
Yeah, and I think when I posted that thing about failure on my Facebook, it was one of the most commented posts I had. And yes.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I had no idea. Sometimes you post something and you think, this is going to be fabulous.
I know.
And it's like,
crickets.
No, I didn't really think that much of it. And even days later, people were still commenting, because I think it gave a space.
Right, exactly.
To say.
A safe space.
Yes, I've been there.
Because we can't always do that with our friends. I mean, I have good friends who I just wouldn't be truly vulnerable with, somewhat to a certain level, but not to that level. But when you created a space, which, congratulations and what an honor, you created this space for people to show up and try on that vulnerability hat, which is so difficult to do. So you open the door for them, and that's wonderful.
Well, I take that as a personal challenge, because I feel like I'm always talking about my flaws and foibles along the way. But I think it's important, and I think it's important to also, laugh at yourself and have humor in it, and otherwise you're just like
brittle. You're brittle.
Yeah.
Everything that someone says hooks that component in you, which has when we get angry with things, it's because when we get hooked into, it's because it's a belief that we have within ourselves. So when we're so brittle that somebody's going to actually see us, we don't want anyone to say anything even that is funny. It hooks us into going down that rabbit hole of sort of despair and brittle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes it's hard for people because they're feeling genuine pain.
Absolutely, genuine pain. Our perception is our reality, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. That when someone that we know is truly having difficulty, but we don't understand it, we can't say, it's not a big deal, don't worry about it, because it is for them. And when we say don't worry about it, it only sends them down that rabbit hole even further because they're not honoring what is true for them in the moment.
That's a really good point. And I heard some science behind that we talk about champagne problems or first world problems, but it actually has to do with your brain. And that your brain's job is trying to keep you safe.
Absolutely.
So it's always on the lookout for a problem. So as soon as you solve a problem, it's looking for the next problem. I think the difference is that people, as they make more money, are more evolved, they have better problems, right?
More success usually brings more, bigger problems.
But better problems, like it's better not to know. It's better to be confused about how to put your team together versus like how am I going to put food on the table?
Right, bingo, yes, absolutely.
So as long as I mentioned team, one of your specialties is helping people scale.
Yes.
So can you say, just for people who might not know exactly what that is, what does it mean to scale?
Okay.
And what are some key components that people need to have in place to do that?
So for scaling, there's growth, which you're kind of getting out there, but for scaling is really taking your business and expanding it, growing it, bringing in a team that's going to support you in being able to achieve more without having to do more. It's really tough. I find a lot of people have a difficult time knowing when to hire. They've got this chatter in their mind about, oh gosh, how am I ever going to be able to afford to pay this person 20 hours, 40 hours, whatever it might be. But team is how we actually are going to be able to grow, because we can only grow so much as a one-person show or even a two-person show. Because if you're selling, making, packaging, shipping the widgets, you can only do so many widgets, right? So a key component in really scaling is being able to look at that vision of where you want your business to go and to grow to. But then to step back and look at, okay, so what is it that I'm repetitively doing that I could systematize in a way, document what it is that needs to be done so that I can then bring someone on and hand it off to them. The key is, so many people, when they bring someone on, want to hand off something that's easy because they don't want to slow down and really get clear on what needs to be handed off. So hand something off that's going to really open up the time in your day so that you can then focus on revenue generating activities. And then look at, if I hand off 20 hours over here, what am I going to do with this time? Don't just leave it to chance, because we know what happens often when things are left to chance.
That is great advice. I love that you hand off something that's really going to impact your ability to maximize your time. That is awesome. That's awesome. So who is your ideal client? There are people, like, where are they in their business? What kinds of, are they service? Are they brick and mortar? Who's your ideal person?
My ideal person really is service. I do a few brick and mortar, but service is really sort of where my kind of jam is, especially over the years of what I've done. They're established. Now they may have 1 or 2 employees. They may have, up to 50 employees. Like a restaurant would have up to 50 employees with different components that are moving. And really established. They know they've gotten it up to this certain level, so they're not trying to figure out, okay, is this going to work? Is this a viable business? It's that they want to grow exponentially, but they're just not sure how to do it because they're so busy that they're not lifting their head up and they're not looking at what it, like I said, what in earlier, is what they're working on moving them closer to their goal, or are they just staying busy?
I love that. So, and if somebody wants to find out more about you, where can they find you? What's your website? What social media? Where can people find you?
Oh, you're so good. Thank you. It's lisadanforth.com. Nice and easy. They can email me at lisa@lisadanforth.com. And then I am on Facebook at Play Big, Be More.
Oh, I like that. Play Big, Be More. Yeah. I like that. I like the way you roll.
I know. It's fun. It's a lot of it's a good time. I have a Twitter account, Lisa Danforth 1, and LinkedIn, which is just Lisa Danforth. So all sorts of different platforms that they can reach out and connect and see what I'm about and ask questions. I always love to answer questions. So if anyone has any, they can go onto my Facebook page and reach out to me. I'd love that.
Nice. Well, I really appreciate you coming today, and also just want to acknowledge you for taking all of your expertise and giving back to your community.
Thank you.
It's really, wonderful to see someone who's successful, who's been successful over time, has been in the trenches, learned, from your mistakes, and done really well. and now turning it around to serve others. So
That is my big thing. I know what it's like to struggle, and I know what it's like to not quite know what you need to do.
Yeah.
And it's such a joy to be able to help these business owners grow.
well, it's lovely. So one last question.
Yes.
What does it mean to you to thrive?
Oh, to thrive. Wow. For me, what it means to thrive is actually be able to take time off for me, especially to serve the clients that I want to serve, because that feeds my soul. Understanding why I'm doing what I'm doing, but to also take time for myself and my family. That's thriving.
Yeah.
And when I do that, when I have that in alignment, when I'm working with the clients that I really just love working with and really seeing their support, I'm taking time for myself. Everything else falls into place, and the abundance comes, and the profits come as well. But that comes secondary.
I love that. I love what you said, and I can feel it from you too. Is that alignment? That's so important. Wow, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here today.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you to all of you as well. And as always, until next time, here's to hitting all your high notes. Take care. Bye-bye. Hi everyone, it's Heather again. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Thrive. Every week we try to bring you people and information to help you change your life for the better, to grow your business, to expand your thinking, and to open your heart. If you did enjoy this content, I would so appreciate it if you would go to iTunes and review us. Let us know how we're doing. We'd love to hear your thoughts and your feedback. And if you found this information helpful or useful in any way, please share it on out. Let your friends and family know about Thrive. And finally, if you'd like to know more about me, you can visit me at heatherpoduska.com. Until next time, here's to hitting all your high notes.